The church doors burst open and she walks in. Not trembling, not crying, walking with the kind of calm that makes people nervous. 300 guests turn to look at her. White dress, bouquet of pale roses, her father on her arm, chest swollen with pride. Her fiancé at the altar, handsome, confident, already smiling like he has already won something. Cameras flash. The string quartet plays. Everyone sees exactly what they are supposed to see. The most perfect bride this city has ever produced. The priest clears his throat. His voice fills the cathedral. Priest, do you, Natalia Reyes, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband? She looks at the priest, then at her fiancé. Then, slowly, she reaches into the small satin bag hanging from her wrist. Her fiancé's smile flickers. Just for a second, she pulls out a small black remote. The crowd murmurs. Someone coughs. Her father leans in and whispers through clenched teeth. Father, whisper Natalia. What are you doing? She doesn't answer him. She presses the button. The two giant screens behind the altar, the ones supposed to display their engagement slideshow, ignite with something else entirely. Bank transfer records. Secret phone recordings. Security camera footage of her fiancé shaking hands in dark parking garages. Her father signing documents he swore he had never seen. The music stops. Someone screams. Her fiancé's face drains of color so fast, it looks like someone pulled a plug. And she stands there, completely still, bouquet in one hand, remote in the other, looking like the most dangerous woman anyone in that room has ever met. 3 months earlier, she was the perfect daughter. Then she decided to become the worst nightmare her family had ever seen. Her name is Natalia Reyes, 24 years old, only daughter of Eduardo Reyes, one of the 3 wealthiest men in the entire city. On paper, her life is perfect. Mansion in the hills, charity galas every Thursday, a wardrobe that costs more than most people's cars, a smile she has been trained since childhood to wear like a uniform. But underneath all of that, she is suffocating. Her parents schedule her week down to the hour. Her mother chooses her clothes. Her father approves who she can spend time with. She cannot take a trip to the market without a driver. She cannot post a photograph without someone reviewing it first. She cannot have a single conversation in this house that isn't somehow about the family's image. Mother, Natalia, that blouse is not appropriate. Change before your father sees you. Natalia, internal, I'm 24. I bought this blouse with my own money. But I go upstairs and I change. Because that is what I do. That is all I have ever done. What no one in that mansion knows is this. Tucked behind a loose panel in her wardrobe, Natalia keeps a box. Inside that box are travel photography magazines from places she has never been. A camera she bought secondhand and has never been allowed to use openly. A notebook filled with routes, Lisbon, Oaxaca, Kyoto, Cape Town. And a savings account her parents don't know exists, built quietly from birthday money and returned gift vouchers over 6 years. Her dream is brutally simple. Get out, travel the world, take photographs, be nobody's daughter, nobody's socialite, nobody's brand. Just herself, a camera, and an open road. She has been planning her exit for years. Then one evening, her parents call her into the living room. Her father is sitting with his hands folded. Her mother is wearing the expression she reserves for announcements. Father, we've arranged your engagement to Marco Villanueva. The wedding will be in 6 months. Natalia stares at him. Natalia, you arranged. You didn't even ask me. Mother, there is nothing to ask. This is a wonderful match. The Villanueva family is. Natalia, I don't care who they are. I'm not a transaction. Her father's expression doesn't move a single millimeter. Father, this conversation is finished. We announce it on Friday. She meets Marco Villanueva that weekend at a dinner. He is tall, articulate, and the kind of charming that fills a room. Her mother is immediately dazzled. Her father shakes his hand like they are sealing a business deal, because they are. But when no one is watching, Marco leans close to Natalia and says, very quietly, Marco, you are more beautiful in person. I expected that. I also expect you to be more obedient than you look. He smiles. It doesn't reach his eyes. Natalia smiles back, because that is what she has always been trained to do. But inside, something cold and sharp begins to crystallize in her chest. The engagement announcement goes out on Friday. By Saturday morning, Natalia is completely buried. engagement parties, press interviews, fittings, introductions to people whose names she immediately forgets because she doesn't care about any of them. Her mother is electric with excitement. Her father looks like a man who has just closed the deal of his career. Marco, meanwhile, begins to show her exactly who he is, piece by piece, very deliberately, as if he wants her to understand early that resistance is pointless. He critiques her outfits at every event. He texts her to check her location when she's out with her best friend Sophia. He makes comments disguised as compliments. Marco, you look lovely tonight, but that lipstick is too aggressive for a family dinner. Tone it down next time. Marco, I saw your comment on that article. Don't post things like that. People will think I married someone political. One evening, after he tells her to cancel dinner with Sophia because he needs her at a business event, she finally pushes back. Natalia, Sophia is my best friend. I haven't seen her in 2 weeks. Marco, a wife from my family does not embarrass me by choosing friends over obligations. Natalia, I'm not your wife yet. Marco, close enough. She goes to the business event. She smiles the whole night. She dies a little bit inside. The next morning she calls Sophia, who answers in 2 seconds because she always does. Natalia, I don't know what to do, Soph. No one listens to me. No one even sees me. I'm a decoration. Sophia, then stop being one. They want a perfect bride. Give them the exact opposite. She says it like a joke. They both laugh. But that sentence lands somewhere deep in Natalia's mind and stays there, glowing quietly like an ember. The exact opposite. It starts small, deliberately. The first thing she does is come home 45 minutes late from a family dinner. Just 45 minutes. But she watches the way her mother's eye twitches, and she thinks, there it is. There's the crack. The second week, she starts skipping Marco's obligatory Sunday calls. Not every call, just enough to make him text her 3 times before she replies with a single word. By week 3, she has bought a leather jacket, 3 pairs of ripped jeans, and a lipstick so dark red, it's almost black. She wears the jacket to a charity gala. The expression on her mother's face is worth every cent it cost. Mother, Natalia, what on earth are you wearing? The Garcias are here. Natalia, I know. Isn't it great? They've never seen me look so interesting. She starts going out late. Not to dangerous places, just to cafes, bookshops, late-night diners. But she doesn't tell anyone where she is. And she lets Sophia post photos. Moody shots, low light, laughing with strangers. Nothing actually scandalous, but to people in her world, the implication is enough. A gossip page picks it up within 10 days. Billionaire's daughter goes off script before wedding. Her phone explodes. Her father calls twice. Marco calls 5 times. She silences all of them and orders another coffee. One evening her father pulls her aside with that look, the one he uses to remind people he controls things. Father, this behavior stops. Tonight, do you understand what you are risking? Natalia, not really. Tell me. He stares at her like she's spoken in a language he doesn't recognize. Because she has. She has never talked back in her life. Father, I will not have this family embarrassed because you want to play at rebellion. Natalia, who's embarrassed? I had coffee. That's all. She goes upstairs. She closes the door. And for the first time in years she presses her back against the wall and laughs until her eyes water. Not from sadness, but from something she barely recognizes. Freedom. That's what it tastes like. Terrifying and electric and completely addictive. She wants more. Sophia calls her on a Tuesday night with that voice she uses when she thinks she's had a genius idea. Sophia, what if you had a boyfriend? A real-looking one. Nothing blows up an engagement like a mystery man. Natalia, that's insane. Sophia, obviously. That's why it'll work. Natalia doesn't agree. Not immediately. But 2 days later, her car breaks down on the east side of the city, far from her usual radius, and the only mechanic willing to look at it on short notice runs a small garage off a road she would never normally be on. His name is Daniel Cruz. He is not what she expects. Mid-30s. Quiet in the way that suggests he has thought more than most people, but decided to keep most of it to himself. Hands stained with grease. A motorcycle parked at the garage entrance like a comma mid-sentence. He fixes the car without much conversation. She watches him work. She notices he reads a book in the waiting area while a part cools, a dense political theory paperback, dog-eared and annotated. Natalia, You read Chomsky while fixing engines? Daniel, slow Tuesday. She comes back 3 days later. Not because of the car. The second visit, she tells him her idea. She lays it out calmly. Fake relationship, public appearances only. She will pay him well. He doesn't have to say much, just exist in the right rooms at the right moments. She needs a scandal. He is a perfect scandal. He looks at her for a long time. Daniel, no. Natalia, why? I'll double the rate. Name your number. Daniel, it's not about money. Natalia, then what is it about? He doesn't answer. He is quiet in a way that makes the air feel heavier. She leaves. She thinks it's over. He texts her that night. One condition. You never ask me about my past. She agrees instantly. Over the next 2 weeks, they build the fiction carefully, methodically, like a renovation project. She teaches him which events matter. He teaches her how to ride pillion on the motorcycle without gripping the frame like she is scared of dying. Sophia plays paparazzi from a distance. They stage arguments in coffee shops. His hand on the small of her back at restaurant entrances. Late night rides along the waterfront. His motorcycle too loud to ignore, her hair loose for the first time in years. The gossip pages go delirious. Who is the mystery man? Marco's assistant calls her 3 times in one day. Her father stops eating dinner at the table when she sits down. And underneath all of the performance, she notices something she is not prepared for. She is not performing as much as she thought she was. If you're still watching, you already know this story is going somewhere you didn't expect. Hit that like button so more people find this video. Subscribe because we drop stories like this every single week. Now, back to Natalia. It happens in small moments she doesn't notice until they've already accumulated. The first real moment is at a diner at 1 in the morning. They're there for a staged late-night sighting. The photographer has already left. They're supposed to leave too. But she's halfway through a plate of eggs, and he hasn't touched his coffee, and they are talking, actually talking, about something completely unrelated to the plan. Natalia, do you actually like being alone? Or is that just what you tell yourself? Daniel, most people ask questions to fill silence. You ask them to get answers. Natalia, is that a yes or a no? Daniel, it's complicated. The alone part is easier than explaining why. She brings her camera one afternoon, the second-hand one from the box in her wardrobe. He doesn't notice her photographing him at first. He's leaning over an engine, half in shadow, completely absorbed. She watches him through the lens and realizes this is the first photograph she has taken in 3 years that she actually wants to take. He catches her. Daniel, delete it. Natalia, no. It's a good photo. Daniel, I don't photograph well. Natalia, you photograph honestly. That's different. That evening he teaches her to ride the motorcycle herself. Not just sit behind him, actually ride. She stalls it 4 times. She laughs so hard on the 5th attempt that she almost drops it. He catches the handlebar without a word and steadies it, and their hands are on the same grip for just a moment, and neither of them moves away quickly. Then one night, walking back from a staged appearance, he stops under a streetlight and tells her something he has told almost no one. Daniel, I'm not a mechanic. I mean, I am, but that's not why I'm here. I'm an investigative journalist. I've been working on a story for 2 years about the Villanueva family. Illegal land acquisitions, bribery, money laundering through construction contracts. Natalia goes very still. Natalia, and you agreed to this because of Marco. Daniel, because of his father, originally. But Marco runs the operation now. Natalia, you used me to get close. Daniel, at first. Yes. There is a long silence between them. Daniel, I lost someone because of that family. A source. Someone who trusted me and I couldn't protect them. I need to finish this. She looks at him standing under the yellow streetlight, telling her the truth without dressing it up, and she thinks, he is the most honest person I have ever met in my entire life. And that is a devastating thing to realize this late. They share their first kiss standing in the street at 2 a.m. It is quiet and unhurried and nothing at all like performance. She walks home alone and sits in her room in the dark for a long time. She is completely, hopelessly in trouble. The morning after, everything fractures. Sophia sends her a screenshot, an old forum post, almost a year ago, from a journalist's anonymous tip board. Someone asking for sources connected to the Reyes family. The username is one Natalia has seen before. On a notepad at Daniel's garage. A small, stupid detail she filed away without meaning to. He was looking for her before she found him. She drives to the garage. He sees her face and knows immediately. Natalia, you came to me first, didn't you? The car breaking down. Was that real? He doesn't answer fast enough. Natalia, say it. Daniel, I knew you took that route sometimes. I didn't engineer it. But when it happened, I didn't stop it either. Natalia, so I was a source. That's all. Daniel, you were. That changed. Natalia, don't. She leaves. She doesn't call him. She goes home and opens her laptop and cries exactly once, for about 4 minutes, and then stops because she doesn't have time. Because while she was falling apart, she found something. Her father's private server, a backup drive she has known about for years but never touched, is connected to the home network. And she knows the password because she watched him type it 6 months ago without meaning to remember it. She accesses it in 20 minutes. What she finds takes her breath away. Marco's family has been laundering money through her father's construction subsidiaries for 3 years. There are signed agreements, wire transfers, and recorded calls. Her father is not a victim in this. He is a partner. He has been the infrastructure that made all of it possible. Her hands are shaking as she copies every file onto 2 separate drives. She hasn't finished when her door opens. Marco is standing in the frame, her parents behind him. He has clearly been told she accessed the server. Marco, give me the drives, Natalia. Natalia, I don't know what you're talking about. Marco, I know what you've been doing. The journalist, the files, all of it. He steps closer, and for the first time she sees what he looks like without the performance. Cold, controlled, genuinely dangerous. You belong to this family now. If you ruin this marriage, I ruin him. I will destroy his career, his reputation, everything he has left, and then I will come back to you. Her father says nothing. He just stands there, watching. That silence, her father's silence, is worse than anything Marco says. That night, they take her phone, her passport. They lock the gates. She is trapped inside a mansion that has always been a cage, and she finally understands it has been a cage from the very beginning. The morning of the wedding, she gets up before the sun. She dresses in silence while the stylist works on her hair. She lets her mother fasten the necklace that has been in the family for 4 generations. She smiles at the photographer who arrives at 7 to document the getting ready moments. She has already copied the files 3 times over. To cloud accounts her parents don't know exist. To an email scheduled to go to 12 journalists at the exact moment she presses send. And to the venue's presentation system, which she accessed remotely the week before using a login she borrowed from the venue coordinator, a woman named Camila who, it turns out, had her own reasons to distrust the Villanueva family. She doesn't need Daniel. She built this alone. But Daniel is there anyway. She sees him at the back of the cathedral when she walks in. Black jacket, 3rd row from the door. He catches her eye for exactly 1 second. He gives her the smallest nod she has ever seen. She looks away. She keeps walking. The ceremony begins. She is flawless. Her posture is perfect. Her smile is perfect. Marco watches her come down the aisle with visible satisfaction. He thinks he has won. Her father watches with relief. Her mother is crying the way mothers cry at weddings. The priest reaches the moment. Priest, do you, Natalia Reyes, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband, to have and to hold, in sickness and in health. She opens her satin bag. Marco, low, through his smile, don't. She presses the button. The screens behind the altar explode with light. Documents, recordings, transfer records. Her father's voice on a call, calm and clinical, discussing figures that have nothing to do with construction. Marco signing paperwork in a building that officially doesn't exist. Security footage, dates, names. For 3 seconds, the cathedral is absolutely silent. Then it detonates. Guests scream. Chairs scrape. Marco lunges forward and she steps back, and Daniel is suddenly between them without anyone seeing how he got there. Natalia, into the microphone, clear and steady. I also sent everything to the press about 40 seconds ago, and to the Financial Crimes Division. So no, I do not. The doors at the back of the cathedral open. Police walk in. Her father looks at her across the chaos, across the screaming guests and the flashing screens and the crumbling empire, and for one single moment, his expression is not anger. It is something that looks almost like recognition, like he is seeing her for the first time. She looks back at him, then she looks away. Marco is still reaching for her when two officers take his arms. Her father follows without resistance. She sets the bouquet down on the altar steps. She picks up her camera bag from where she placed it the night before, behind the front left floral arrangement, exactly where she left it. And she walks out. 6 weeks later, she is in Lisbon. She cut her hair on the third day. Nothing dramatic, just shorter, easier, hers. She found a small apartment near the waterfront with terrible plumbing and extraordinary light in the mornings. She photographs everything. The fishermen at 5 a.m., the tiles on the church walls, an old man who plays chess alone in the square every afternoon and doesn't mind being watched. She is happy in the quiet, specific way of someone who stopped pretending and found out the real version of themselves was better than the performance. She misses Daniel. She doesn't let herself reach out. Some things you have to earn back by letting time pass first. One afternoon, she is crouched on a cobblestone street photographing the shadow a doorway throws across the pavement. The light is perfect. She is completely absorbed. She hears it before she sees it. The sound of a motorcycle engine, low and distinctive, coming up the narrow street behind her. She doesn't move immediately. She stays crouched. She finishes the photograph. Then she stands and turns around. He is there, parked at the end of the lane, helmet off, looking at her the way people look at things they weren't sure they would find. He holds up a copy of a newspaper. His story. Front page. The headline reads, Villanueva Empire, the full investigation. She looks at it. She looks at him. Natalia, you finished it. Daniel, we finished it. She is quiet for a moment. The Lisbon afternoon wraps around them both. Warm light, distant trams, the smell of salt from the river 2 streets away. Natalia, how did you find me? Daniel, you posted a photo last week. The chess player in the square. Natalia, I geotagged it. Daniel, you geotagged it. She laughs. A real one. The kind that doesn't need an audience. She picks up her camera and takes one more photograph. Him at the end of the lane. Sunlight behind him. Looking like someone who has arrived somewhere he intended to be. For the first time in her life, she was no longer pretending to be anyone else. Speech balloon if this story kept you watching all the way to the end. Drop a comment below telling me your favorite moment. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, what are you waiting for? New stories every week. See you in the next one.